Hi, I'm Nicola Chan and I'm a fitness and mindset coach. I help women to build confidence to speak up and be able to share their stories. I believe our hardships were given to us to make us stronger, and through NLP and hypnotherapy, we can put down old negative narratives, limiting beliefs and labels, and we get to write our future story. The following video is part of my story and it includes topics such as eating disorders and body image, which may be triggering for some people. I hope you enjoy my story, and if you do and feel like you'd like some help to tell your story, please contact me. You can go to www.findmyway.com. I created this website because I was once lost, and the things that happened to me allowed me to hate the world and feel like a victim. Find My Way is about finding a way out of that victim mindset and instead become the driver of your vehicle, the author of your book. Let me help you to find your way.
How many of you have been on a diet? How many of you are on a diet now?
How many of you starving? Oh, sorry. The diet is starving.
Yes, we'll talk more about that. Imagine all the ways in which your body image can affect your everyday life. So some of you already know if you've dieted or you're on a diet. You can feel less confident, you can feel not good enough, and that can affect everything that you do, whether it be at work, your relationships, intimacy, the way that you are in the world. It can stop you from living your life to the full. In a media-obsessed world, we're bombarded with images of beautiful people that we're told are beautiful, flawless-looking skin, perfect bodies, and living perfect lives. Who wouldn't want that? So when we look in the mirror and we see a body that doesn't match up to what we see in the media, we're told by society that we're not good enough, that we're not perfect enough, that we should buy the clothes that she wears, maybe the makeup that she wears, or he wears. And this is very female orientated, by the way, so I apologise, but obviously it does relate to men as well. Maybe we should do the diet that she does and we may be happy like she is. I used to read these magazines with celebrities showing me what food they ate on a day-to-day basis, what exercise they did, and I was drawn in. I thought if I ate like them, if I exercised like them, maybe I could be like them. Only perfection never worked for me. Growing up, I was always a thin girl, but I was called skinny legs in school actually, and also I had racist abuse for being mixed race, half Chinese. So some of our children go through this now on a day-to-day basis, being bullied for anything that's different about them. They can feel like I did, not good enough. And then they can come home, look on TV, read magazines, and endless social media nowadays, and be bombarded with all these images and feel like they're not good enough at school and at home. They can't escape the beauty standards of the world. Trying to sit down. Even their mothers teach them how to hate themselves. She stands on the scales. Next slide. She stands on the scales, measuring her worth every day. Some days the scale gives her a good day, and other days it gives her a bad day, depending on whether she's gained or lost weight. Mum tries on endless clothes, breathes in to make her reflection smaller, and Mum teaches me to fear fat. She eats certain foods, she avoids certain foods because they make her fat. Mum teaches me to fear fat. Mum goes to keep fit, to burn calories because calories make you fat. Mum also says you can't eat puddings on certain days, and so I crave sweet things and feel guilty when I eat them. That child, that little girl, is watching you, us, the parents. Maybe you know, because maybe you were also that child. So I'm going to share with you my story of how I went from hating my body to loving my body, and hopefully open up a conversation with you that can change your mindset and stop your own negative body image and those of your children. So you already know I was a slim child at school. When I got into the fitness industry, there was big pressure on the way that I looked. I was even taught in college you should look a certain way. You are your brand. People are coming to you, and 95% of people are wanting to lose weight or change themselves. And they're going to you as the role model. An instructor should be lean and toned and never be fat. I didn't want to put on any weight, and so losing some would be better, as I'd rather be too fat than thin, which was another thing my mum taught me. So I started running for the first time, and I also made fitness friends who were crazy about exercise. taking the stairs wherever we were because we couldn't be seen using the lift because we were instructors. And people would actually say something like, "You're an instructor, why are you using the lift?" And the same with food, like, "You're an instructor, why are you eating that food?" And so pretty soon we wouldn't eat those foods at all because of the guilt and shame. So the pressure was big as an instructor. It affected my exercise, my food, and my body image. Social media was more than images of fit girls. It was fitspo, inspiration. I kill fat for a living is what a personal trainer calls himself. Rest days, what day of the week is that? So I knew I was getting addicted to exercise, but I thought it's a good thing. You can't be too healthy, I thought. My exercise habits were no different from my peers. I also didn't know that my clean eating during the week and cheat meals at the weekends were turning into an eating disorder until it spiraled out of control and I felt out of control. I was no longer a weekday clean eater and weekend binge eater. I was now binging so much that I was in a cycle of I've eaten so much at night, the next day I wake up, I'll try not to eat at all, and then by the evening I'm binging again, and it's just a continuous cycle, thinking I'm a failure. I can't stick to a diet, what's wrong with me? Which also then makes you gain weight. So I hated myself for what I was doing. I lost my periods and became infertile. I thought I'm the only person in the world suffering like this. I was a fitness professional after all, so I had to keep myself together and keep this behaviour a secret because people were coming to me for advice. What do you eat? How much do you exercise? So it's a secret I hid for years. I tried every self-help at going to find out why I was binge eating, why I couldn't stay on a diet and had no self-control. I thought I was a disgusting human being lying to my peers and clients. I knew about eating disorders, but I didn't think I had one. I couldn't make myself sick and I couldn't be an anorexic because I always failed at trying not to eat. I knew I needed help, so I finally plucked up the courage to talk to my mum to tell her I had an issue with food. She took me to the doctors, but I felt like a fool, an adult going to the doctors with my mum. So it was a hard thing to do. And then my doctor actually laughed at me. She put me on the scales, saw that I was a normal BMI and said, "You're making it up in your head." So it's one of the hardest things I ever had to do. But sadly, it's not a rare occurrence. Doctors do this to people. But luckily, I sought the help of another doctor who then sent me to eating disorder treatment. Here I got the help that I needed, and I even got pregnant later with my daughter, who's now 7. So being diagnosed with an eating disorder means that you have to tick certain boxes. Because I was a normal weight on the BMI scale, it wasn't flagged up. I also had to tick certain boxes to be released from the therapy. I had to maintain my weight, that was all that was required. It didn't change my mindset, it didn't change my body image. And it's the body image that caused me to diet in the first place. So I believe there are many people living with disordered eating who live outside of the boxes of an eating disorder and won't get the help they need. I believe many of them are my peers in the fitness industry. I mean, we all have the same behaviours with exercise and food. The language that's used, the pursuit of the perfect body and the guilt over food and the punishment of exercise. I mean, we see quotes as well, like at Christmas time, you're going to eat this, you need to exercise this much. You know, you wouldn't starve your cat if it stays on the sofa all day, you still need to eat. So like me, many of them will go unnoticed to learn about others with the same behaviours. So moving on, recovered from my eating disorder, but still unhappy with my body, I thought I'll try bodybuilding. It's what many of my peers were doing, and maybe it'll be good for business. And maybe if I can be confident on stage in a shiny red bikini, I'll have fixed my body image. So here I was, standing on stage, smiling and posing in my bikini. I actually won first place on my first show. Got the crown, the sash, and won a bikini, which then led me to another show. It actually costs quite a lot of money to become a bodybuilder. You have to pay for the tanning, the makeup, the clothes. You think that I'm not going to eat much or save money. So when I won the bikini, and they cost like £300, I thought, well, it's meant to be. I'm meant to do another show. Where's other bikini? So I ended up first place this show, fourth place the next, third place the next, and then second on the last show. I felt like my body was an ornament at this point. I took personally all of its flaws and the feedback from the judges. I began to realise that changing your body doesn't change your body image. Everyone can change their body, but only 5% of people keep the weight off. For me, being so lean was unhealthy. As soon as the shows were over, the binge eating started again. And it was actually a normal occurrence. I was talking to people in groups, there's a lot of people in the community, they have cycles of 12 weeks of basically like a purge, like an eating disorder, you don't eat much. Then you have 12 weeks binge afterwards, and the only way to stop is to go back into another show. So again, it's another eating disorder cycle, just prolonged. So as soon as the shows were over and I was binge eating again, I was an all or nothing type of person. I could just be a strict dieter or a binge eater. I couldn't live in 50 Shades of Grey. The kind of person that can just eat chocolate moderately or have a bit of chocolate and forget about it. I just didn't know, how do people do that? But I can do that now. I actually had a melted chocolate in my bag recently and I was like, oh, I'm one of those people. I never thought that I could be starving on 2,000 calories a day, but for the exercise I was doing, 16 hours of exercise a week, I was. I later learned about the Minnesota starvation experiment, where in war times a group of men were living on rations for a period of time to see how they reacted to various types of refeed. The government were testing the best ways to bring society back after a famine. During the study, the men were reduced to 1,600 calories, which is like a normal diet today. Over time, your body shuts down systems that are not necessary for your survival, one of those being your reproductive system, which is obviously what happened to me. It also lowers your metabolism, lowers your heart rate, and increases your stress levels, adrenaline, and affects your sleep. You become consumed by thoughts of food. And those of you who put your hands up, I'm sure you can relate when you're on a diet, all you can think about is food. Dreaming about food, researching recipes when you can eat, daydreaming over menus and looking at #foodporn. This is all due to the reptilian part of the brain. It's the most primal and responsible for keeping us alive. It doesn't care what you look like or if you're on a diet. It's there for your survival. We should actually thank this part of us. It protects us. The same way when facing a tiger, this is the part of your brain that causes you to fight or flight. So when in caveman times when food was scarce, it was very useful to have this. You would come across a bush of berries, your brain would make you eat all of them and store the extra fat in case of another famine. The same thing happens when you diet. You reduce your calories by eating less, exercising more, or both, and your body reacts by increasing your stress, slowing down your metabolism, and your brain becomes foggy and you lose concentration. So I'd suffered the effects of semi-starvation in a body that was considered healthy by society. And as hard as bodybuilding was, the hardest part was learning to love myself again after, learning to undo the anxiety around foods, learning to trust my body and to actually eat and exercise intuitively with how I feel. And allow myself to gain the weight back that I needed to get my periods back. So it's a tough journey, one of the toughest, and I spent many days and nights researching, and I discovered that some of my old beliefs were actually wrong. I learned about health at every size, about body diversity. I learned that diets can actually make you fat, and yo-yo dieting is more harmful to your health than being obese. I learned the BMI scale is a load of BS. And people in the overweight category actually live longer. I learned more facts that the government, the fitness industry don't tell you, because they stand to gain from your insecurities. Even the pharmaceutical companies set our BMI scales so they could benefit financially. So the picture of health looks different for everyone. Bodies are diverse, and what is healthy for one person is not healthy for another. We all have a friend who stays slim, doesn't exercise, and just looks what we think is perfect, eat whatever they like. We also have a friend who struggles with their weight, remains a higher weight despite exercising and eating healthy. So after all the work I did on myself, I do have to confess, I don't love my body every day. I live in a society that promotes fitness, and I work in an industry that kills fat for a living, and is very aesthetically judging. However, I value my health over my aesthetics, and in getting over my pursuit of perfection, I found my voice. I believe many women are oppressed by dieting and don't have the brain space. I mean, how can you when you're not eating enough? And don't have the brain space to be a person and stand up for their rights and beliefs. If you are in the pursuit of the perfect body, ask yourself, What is it you want? What do you want to be, and why can't you have those things now? Why wait till X before you live your life? I'm passionate about this. Why do you need to change? Be who you are now, because you're already amazing. Why do I do this all the time? Because you are. And you've learned a lot about me today, so this bit's about you. And the tears gone. Because you are actually unique. You were born a fighter, a winner. You won the race, and over 250 million sperm cells to the unique egg which lay in your mother's uterus. And the exact timings and environment. You're going to keep it going now. You were made. You were born exactly as you were meant to be. Your journey so far just makes up your story and gives you your platform, which you learn and you grow and you become what you want to. Challenge your old beliefs. I dare you. I dare you to be brave. Show up in the world as you, unchanged and imperfect. Ta-da!